I don't know, that countdown may be very tense.
Sorry. Now we are recording.
Uh, Hello, everyone. We're here with Jason Adam Katzenstein, very young cartoonist, but not as young as he used to be. He's been, I think Jason's been doing cartoons for about 10 years now, and I've known him for quite a while. He's very prolific, very creative, very high standard of cartooning, which I think he has even maintained in this caption contest. And I'm just happy that Jason is joining us for the judging of his. I guess it's a dog commencement cartoon, is what I would say it is. And Jason, why don't you give a little background about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school, your favorite teacher, your favorite color, that kind of thing.
Uh, all right. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. Thank you for calling me young. I'm
From my
Jason.
perspective, honestly,
You should see the cartoonists they're making these days. They're like they're super
yeah,
young.
yes, there is the lawn blowers. I don't know. It's not anyway. They're
Wow.
nice. They're nice people. So
I This is my first ever cartoon collections caption contest, but my third ever caption contest because I've had two in the New Yorker, and I'm always impressed with people's entries. There's always a caption that I think is takes me by surprise, and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? This cartoon is so I have much younger siblings. My parents got divorced and remarried and started over, had more kids, and I was at my little sister's college graduation in May, and it included a lot of speakers, none of them dogs, but it was the inspiration for making a commencement speech dog themed cartoon. I also have a dog, and he had opinions also on the captions, and so he might want to join later to help judge.
okay.
Right.
Now I have a dog, and I have actually one dog who's ready to go under surgery. I think Alfie, because he had a bad back, and I schlepped him around to various places because all of a sudden his back leg stopped working.
Oh.
And my wife was away on a trip, and so I was tasked with, happily tasked with taking Alfie around. Except Alfie is like 50 pounds, and he's a lab dachshund something, so he's a lot to do. But I think anyway, I think Alfie's going to be okay. My yeah, Lawrence, of course, is the Ken Jennings of the New Yorker Caption Contest, or maybe vice versa, actually. The When I looked at the captions, first of all, I do think you always have good captions, but my goal was to try to pick captions other people wouldn't this time, because I become, for the New Yorker caption, some of it has become sort of tiresome for me. It's constant kinds of puns and wordplay, but no, what I would think of as when I was cartoon editor, normal cartoons, in which I'd almost never do a cartoon that would have wordplay or puns in it. That wasn't what I was trying to do. And so I was looking for this time for cartoons that actually, not all of them, but surprised me a little bit, because I sort of knew what was going to happen with who's a good boy, who's a good this, who's a good that. I've been experimenting for quite a while now and interested in AI. And frankly, those are the kinds of things that AI comes up with. It looks for the words to sort of put in for good boy, fetch, all of that within the context of this. And then it will, move it around like, what are you fetching? So I'm not saying those captions were bad. I mean, actually, I think they're all good in a way, except I was looking for something else. So That was my philosophy.
I thought they were pretty great this week. I think in one way to kind of tell is we did have a lot of the same, but it was hard for me to get down to 10. So I'll start by sharing the image in question. Now that we tease this.
How do you work, Jason, in terms of drawing this stuff? Do you work digitally or?
Yes, I've been working on the iPad and in Procreate. I really like their brushes, and I really also like that it's that you can draw directly onto the surface.
Mhm.
You're a digital drawer these days, right, Bob?
I actually, it's more like I'm a composite drawer. For one thing, although you might think it might be advantageous to me, I have what's called at my age essential tremor. And so there's this little thing going on, and sometimes it helps with the dots. But then other times I like the fact that you can, I still use Photoshop, that you can correct. With layers, and I know I should go to something like the iPad and Procreate, and what I've been doing lately is I've been fooling around with Midjourney actually, and trying to create, not draw at all actually, or draw a little bit. I find that Midjourney, Dolly 2, all these things don't really give me what I want. But when I use them in conjunction with Photoshop and a little bit of drawing, I can get sort of exactly what I want. I'll show one of the images that I've done recently to illustrate our classic joke called the Jewish parrot joke, which I'll try to actually tell maybe sometimes in this. Anyway, this is a wonderful drawing. What kind of dog is that? Dog.
I would say cartoon dog is the breed.
Labrador, golden, friendly dog, I think.
Yeah. So my dog, we did a DNA test on him, and it came back 100% Yorkie, but he's way too big to be a Yorkie. So we think he's a Yorkie Dachshund mix, a dorky.
That's great.
I will bring him up here at some point, and we can all be the
judges.
judges.
We want to
but yeah, Winston, our dog, often makes his way into my cartoons, but this is not Winston. This might be a cousin of Winston.
Okay. And
so yeah, he looks like he's also. I mean, sometimes they actually the faculty do wear those outfits, but it does seem like a commencement speech. He does have, high honors robe or faculty, and then obviously the audience is a bunch of dogs graduating. Clearly, dogs, not a mix of other animals. Pretty straightforward, I think. I think there's not much. In past ones, we didn't know who was who. Really hear very clear the setting and who's talking.
And I think it's a really good caption contest. One of the objections Lawrence and I have now when we look at the New York caption contest is often there's some extra incongruous element that you can't possibly include. You got to bring it together. So in maybe the last caption contest, from someone we had on as a captain.
I don't think that was Lynn's, Bob. I ended up looking that up. It was somebody else.
Somebody else. Anyway, it's a street hustler who's usually selling watches, but he's got dogs actually, right? He's got dogs in the pockets, which is a great image. Except the guy who he's showing it to is wearing bedroom, slippers that you wear around the house, and so that bothered me. Why is this guy wearing slippers in the middle of the street? So you really shouldn't. You've got enough trouble with a caption contest of blending together the different frames. When you throw in something else, I just feel it's wrong. Anyway, so this is a perfect. Everyone's pretty clear that this is dogs.
Yeah. And then, so I'll share all of our choices here, and we'll put them on the caption. Again, just to reiterate, it's the game of skill. These are all sent independently. No one sees anyone else's choices.
And we don't look at any of the voting that the people do until afterwards.
No, the only data we have is a timestamp in case there were similar ones. In this one, I kept the timestamp in my voting because I'm going to see so many good boy ones that I'm going to need the timestamp to make sure we choose the earlier ones. But anyway, we will here we are. Let me supposed to share this tab instead. It's not. You guys still see the
Yep.
yeah. Here we go. So this week we actually had 7. We do choose 6 in a grand prize winner. This week we actually had 7 that were across all of our.
Wow.
One of them was across 4 of the 5 of us here present. I guess I'll start with that one. Please silence your squeaky toys. Was across all 4. This one actually did make me roll my eyes and laugh because it was just so simple. Sometimes we have cartoons, sometimes we have, ones based on literature and smarter cartoons, but
I thought that was great. It was surprising. It was, I think this is one of the funny. To end on squeaky toys, squeaky toy itself is something that's funny. But anyway, so I thought that was good. Yeah.
I love a caption you can hear.
Yeah. I always forget to make this a little bit bigger here for everybody. And the other ones, on a sad note, no more homework.
That was clever.
That was across 3, and then the rest were, I think, 2 to 3. These were the.
I see what I like about something like I said, no more homework. There's so much things about eating the diplomas, eating the homework. Here you're made to think. In other words, that's what happens in your head. It's not, for example, from many of these. A classic way to look at these things is from the caption, can you tell the picture? If you can't, and it's funny, that's an extra level of what you've done. You know what I mean? And so the eating diplomas, once you see that, you understand it's not people who are going to be eating diplomas. And you would make, and so, I think that's why something like that is really good.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So we did, these were the best 20 years of my life. This is not the first time I have been asked to speak.
That's brilliant.
I did like that. That was one.
Just perfect. The last word.
Yeah.
This is not the first time I've been asked to speak.
And the formality of the dog too. It's like, the Shanahan where he's like, is the homework fresh? Like the dog has to be very proper and very high class, and this one is clearly an accomplished dog, and he's there's a tone.
It's perfect. It ends on the punchline. It's a common expression that takes on a new meaning within the context of the cartoon. It's actually funny. I actually did laugh when I read it. It's so good. I think it's so clearly the best.
When you contrast the two high and low, because this is not the first time I've been asked to speak. He's a very prestigious person. He constantly gets accoladed, but the other frame of reference is sort of the silliness of dogs speaking.
Yeah.
And performing a trick, really, of some sort. And then there's a lot of, I'm trying to remember. Anyway, a lot of great dog speaking cartoons.
Now we get a little funnier here, but we're done, bitches. Someone has to graduate. Yes, a female dog is a bitch, but it still makes me laugh. That was one that was across hours. Please note, dinner will be served from 5:15 until 5:16.
Yeah.
Let me go to bat for that.
Yeah, it is a very funny one. It's very true about dogs. I think when we overanalyze caption contests, like it's not really about dinner. And you have a dinner after graduation, but maybe I'm too pedantic about that one. But I think it is very funny that dogs eat in that particular way.
I think that the high-low register in that one is also incredible. The amount of care taken to, like, we're going to have a pre-dinner announcement. And then you do This one invites you to imagine the entire feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I
funny.
love it.
Yeah.
When your name is called, please come forward to receive a belly rub.
Funny and cute.
Funny and cute. Agreed. I think. I mean, when Lawrence does his write up, he'll go more into depth about the other kind of themes that come up. But if you guys noticed any, there were so many about masters, and there were so many about earning a master's. Blah blah blah. There were so many about squirrels and. There
Well,
were
I like
tail wagging as well.
general philosophy is, not overall, not wordplay. I want something deeper than wordplay, and the it's harder to do. I mean, and actually, it is something that when I look at, as I've been fooling around a lot with the AI, that AI actually, if you want to think where AI is going to be able to do these kinds of jokes, this is exactly where it would be able to do these kinds of jokes.
Yeah.
Because it's all text based, and there's not any idea based. So anyway, just my preference. But still, I mean, if it's a great wordplay, you've got it.
No,
there was a good one there was one I really liked about masters. It's a pun, but I urge you all to pursue your masters. I thought it was very good.
So this was not my original caption, but as I was working on the drawing too, we got a lot of oh, the places you'll go.
Yes,
because that's a big college graduation thing. But I was actually thinking of the David Foster Wallace "This is water" speech, and I imagined our pup saying "This is toilet water." I don't know if I would have won with that, but that
and it conjures up his suicide. Maybe it's difficult. No, I did see that though. I was surprised at how many the places you'll go and sniff and butts.
Yeah, there was an the places you'll go, but not on the carpet or something.
Yeah,
right?
that one was.
I appreciated that.
I appreciated that one as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess in an effort to get down to 6, should we try to get to 6 here first and then go through about any we want to fight, or do you want to?
Well, it's not so much fight as things that
we argue for.
Not so much argue things that I like because they were very sparse. Like "This is your day." Like every dog will have just I didn't really think it was funny, but because most people might not even see it as a joke.
Right.
As a joke. Just so I like, that part of it. And then I guess I liked a little just the stuff that was a little loopy just had a little, I mean, in the caption contest, we always go for conciseness because, that's it. But when I look at, cartoons, I try to think of, maybe you could bring mine up, there they are. Yeah. When I try to think of something that if Jack Ziegler were looking at this picture, what would he come up with? It would be a little bit, it would be a little bit like, if you can imagine it, you can do it, except for driving a car. Don't do that. It's got a funny rhythm to it. And I'm not saying that I would say that, but it's saying why, when I'm looking at these in like the broader context of cartooning, I'm thinking and I think the caption contest does boil down to, it should be a good gag cartoon. But that's why, and then because, okay, I don't know, I mean, you would know this, but someone recently emailed me that Peter Steiner in 1993 did on the internet, "No One Knows Your Dog." And for all these years, no one knows where it is. But someone at a real estate sale, a big comic collector, has found the original.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And it's going to go for a lot of money at auction. A lot of money. I will say it will go for more money than any cartoon has ever sold for by far. It will be either a technology auction or some other auction. But the guy is a well-known comic collector who has already sold like the first thing of Wolverine for $500,000. And so I'm going to meet with him, and also we're talking with Peter because we want to scan the original. So that's why when I said, I thought someone might actually say on the internet, "No one knows you're a dog."
Mhm.
I thought someone might use that, but that when I saw on LinkedIn and Glassdoor, no one knows you're a dog, is sort of at least it's a callback. So I mean, it's why I picked it. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, you're judging the captions now based on readers who not only are conversant in comedy, but also in this postmodern world who are referencing other captions.
Yeah.
Right, reference, yeah, and that that happens a lot in our
Mhm.
through the history of the caption contest. Now.
Yeah, a lot of Christ, what an asshole.
That,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
The universal caption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh well, no, it's true. Christ, what an asshole.
And I want to add you to my LinkedIn, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Which actually appeared in the New Yorker as a caption to a Liam Francis Walsh cartoon.
yeah, and I must say I am the reason that happened because once
Leam
did
gives you credit
as a kind of meta thing. The other one is what a misunderstanding, which often works, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so should we take any, Bob, of yours that you want to bring into the into our group?
No, I mean I think whatever people I said no homework. I mean the ones that everyone agreed on, I think are very strong. So let's
Joel,
and then Jason as our cartoonist of honor should certainly get his selection.
Oh, do I get more? Do I get more points? How do we fight? How do we fight for this?
we make a strong case of cleverness and humor and
Gotcha.
As a cash reward, we are a game of skill. But Joel, do you have any favorites?
Well, I'm feeling quite smug because I think of from the list we've got, like five of those were in my selection. So I'm feeling like I'm in tune with the rest of the group, which is nice. So I haven't got anything I'd fight for. The only slight honourable mention that wasn't mentioned was a play on the dog years one, which was the tuition fee play on it, which again is like your $200 in tuition paid off, or in dog dollars 1.4 million. I like it because again you have to reach for it, it's not coming to you, and I always like jokes like that. So for the same reason, I would probably in terms of my preferred choice that I'd fight for, I would probably go for either the dog ears one or the please note dinner will be served from 5:15 until 5:16, because it's just adorable the way dogs eat. That they scientific fact, they can't choke, can they? Because they don't have a gag reflex. So they just shovel it all in.
Winston has choked a bunch.
Yeah. Their intestines are small. They get blockage here and there. I think it's a bird, maybe. I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell Winston that next time it happens. I'm gonna be like, according to science, you should not be doing this.
So yeah, for me, I didn't have any. I wouldn't pick it as a winner, but I did like please hold your tail wagging until the end, because at graduations I'm always so frustrated with them always telling people not to celebrate for anybody. It's I don't know why. I feel like once you're graduated, you can do whatever you want. I hate going to graduations and telling you can't cheer for certain people, but that would be the only one. But again, that's not one I would think I would pick to win the whole one. And then I think I did like a shout out for the.
By the way, I did some investigation on "Don't Be Afraid to Screw the Pooch," because I wanted to find out what the actual etymology of that very strange phrase was.
Oh, that's Lawrence on Lawrence's here.
That's on my list. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, originally I had a lot of these in, when you keep saying it, but "Don't screw the pooch." Supposedly, I mean, it comes probably for most people from a line in The Right Stuff. I forget who says it. Okay. But the phrase is not "don't screw the pooch," it's "screw the pooch." The phrase actually is from World War II, which is "don't fuck the dog." And and one of the guys who ends up helping design the spacesuits goes to Yale. It goes back and forth, and maybe he's a DJ. I'm getting a little bit confused, but he wants to say that or write that in something. And later, this guy is going to go on to the space program, and they say it's really vulgar. Don't fuck the dog, which means don't blow. I don't know why exactly that means blunder, but it does. And he said, well, let's come up with something a little bit less vulgar and maybe even euphonious. And that's how you get to, for some reason or other, don't be afraid to screw the pooch, which is interesting because here, I guess what our commencement dog is saying is don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Right. Yeah. For all those reasons, I like that one.
Yeah, it's good because it's pooch.
Right. It's right. You can't say don't fuck the dog, or don't be afraid to fuck the dog.
Yeah,
but...
weirdly, nobody submitted that in the caption contest.
Well, they're just not as good at research as Bob is. But I like don't be afraid to screw the pooch also because it's vulgar a little, but it doesn't cross the line. And it works. Like Bob says, he's trying to encourage people to take chances, not be afraid to make mistakes. And it works within the context of the cartoon. I did like the places you'll go. Good pun or good way to use Seuss's title and change the meaning. Like Bob said, sometimes you like the rhythm of a joke, one that goes on longer than usual. And I like now get out there and chase your dreams, or a car, or a squirrel, or a ball, or a stick, or your tail. And I like that for a long cartoon. I did like the one Masters caption that I picked. I urge you all to pursue your masters.
You have a lot of P. You got a lot of P captions. You can't have that many P captions. Mark,
I don't usually like puns, but that was a good one. I thought, this is the first time I've been asked to speak. As I've said before, I think that's, in my view, the clear winner.
Yeah.
Many of you already have a leg up on the competition. Again, just
PP jokes.
Yeah, turning a common expression into a caption. We all left our mark on the school. Now that you're all seated, stay. And this
you didn't make that any funnier by acting the last part out.
This wasn't easy. We had to eat a lot of homework. It was the homework cartoon I liked best, but I agree with you guys that the better homework caption is this is sad, no more homework.
Yeah. Are there any we want to bring into the 7? I mean, I did like the first 2, but I feel like they're all like head nod ones, not laughing.
I would argue to bring in don't be afraid to screw the pooch. I want to knock the cute one out of the finalists. What's the cute one that we have? I forget it now.
Belly rubs, accepting belly rubs.
Yeah, I'm gonna argue against that.
Belly rub is no good.
No, but screw the pooch. Is anyone gonna laugh or even smile? They might nod their head.
Oh, I laughed.
You did.
I have heard people say don't screw the pooch. It is a fairly common expression.
Well,
so if you know the expression, it really works.
No, it definitely is a known expression, and the fact that it's not completely known to some people would be a point in its favor for me, because it shows we're smarter than those people, which is what we like to show. I mean, the New Yorker always played off of that. Okay.
Jason, you have any of these you want to bring into the finals, or are you happy with our selections? Anyone you want to talk about?
I do. I wanna bring, first off, it's very flattering and fun to go through a bunch of captions on an image I made. It's a nice feeling. It's a fun way to watch people engage with your work. And so what I love is a caption that gestures out toward a whole world outside of the cartoon. So you might laugh, but also you imagine what happened before this moment, what happened after. When I first pitched to you, one piece of advice you gave me was to think of cartoons in 3D and to think of myself as a comedy director and think of this whole scene in time and space, and you choose the angle and you choose the line. And for all those reasons, I'm going to bat for we'll forgo throwing the caps this year to avoid another fetching fracas of 14. I think that it's unexpected. I think that it takes that image and builds out an entire world. I'm now really thinking about the fetching fracas of 14 and all the dogs kind of piling on each other and scrambling. And I think that it complicates.
I'll definitely go with that. I mean, this is
Yeah.
Look, I guess Toto. I'm not talking about you. Okay. Because this is a little bit what I was talking about with something that felt like a completely creative cartoonist caption of comedy itself, and not complete. So, but I would say for the most part, the caption contest is this game, because if you have too many of those, first of all, no one would agree. Let's say if instead of these kinds of entries, the ones we got, that it's hard enough to agree on those, right? In which they're concise, they're a gag and joke. Let's say if all entries were of that kind, then it would be completely subjective, and you would hardly get any agreement. But I'm okay with that, especially because we have our justification. And Jason, I like the fact. I mean, I know you, and so I know you would appreciate this. But one of the reasons we do things is that I actually just wrote something for Moment Magazine about this jokes, and saying, well, jokes don't need really, if you have to explain a joke, then it's not funny. I said, well, what happens if the joke is already funny? Then explaining it is interesting. It's a kind of appreciation, because we explain other things. We talk about movies, we talk about books. And so it's interesting to talk about it because it's a way in which you show the nuance, and you appreciate it. And I think it deepens the meaning. So, okay, so we're not giving, even though he's the guest, we're not giving him more than 2 captions.
No, I'll give him this one. I also like to call out to, it's kind of like the Calvin and Hobbes spaghetti incident. It's just something referenced that was never ever explained. It's this is actually more explained than that, but it is like that. There is the story that you had to be there for.
But Jason, going through, I thought of this. I also thought of, I see why you picked some other ones also, because go back to Jason's, would you? About the backstory. So the backstory is something like a caption, like, how does Webster's Dictionary define a good dog? Because, okay, here's often commencement speakers start off in this way, looking at the history of something. And that's anyway, that's my idea what that caption was about. I don't think it deserves to be in the final, but it has a backstory of, this is a speaker, a commencement speaker, who's going to give something. How do we define virtue? How do we define education? And then the speaker goes on to elaborate on that for the commencement.
Should I say my original caption?
You can.
No, we wait till the end for that.
Well, yeah, we generally will wait to the end, but we will share it.
Okay. Can I say that it's inspired by a graduation speaker who did begin with a speech much like, how does Webster's Dictionary define a good dog?
Okay.
All right. So we have 8 or no 9. I think I'm going to just say that I think I'm going to.
Where are they? Where they're confusing me. I'm an old man.
So I think 2 are untouchable just based on our conversation. This is not the first time I have been asked to speak, and please silence your squeaky toys, I think are untouchable. As far
I don't want well done bitches. Take that away.
Yeah, it is funny, but I heard that.
Okay.
Can we get rid of belly rub, or do people?
Yeah,
really
let's
like
get rid of belly rub. Belly rub is not really very.
Yeah, it's not a winner.
I like belly rub, but I understand.
I really don't like cute humor. I don't know why. It just bothers me.
What happened?
And we are now at 7.
How about getting rid of the best 28 years of my life?
Yeah, definitely get rid of that, because that's a joke that's been made over and over again about dogs and dog years, for that.
Also, why were they Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, why would the dog in the
Yeah.
Well, it's a common. It is a. I don't think this is a winner, but you do. I think almost every speech says that these were the best 4 years of my life. People, they say that about college, but yes,
I think it's a solid caption. I just don't
No,
think
it's
it should be a
caption.
finalist.
Are there any other animals that we do this with the years? We have a conversion rate. There are no cat years, right?
yeah, they have lives, but yeah, not years. And I think
Yeah.
it's only relevant for the first two. It's just their puberty takes 14. It takes 2 years, and I think after that, it's not really 7 anymore.
Yeah, I would say that Winston has absolutely no conception of time. We could leave the house for 5 minutes or 5 hours, and that's the same to him. So I don't know what he would think a year is.
Done. So we do.
That's right, because time sort of stands still for. I mean, as my dog, which really had problems, couldn't move his legs and everything. But once I put him in the car, it wasn't like he was. I mean, I was, and then I took him into the vet, and I'm pacing there. I'm nervous, anxious. Dog is just there. Time sort of stands still, for them. I mean, there's the great. I don't know if this really relates to that, but the George Booth cover, New Yorker cover, where the dog is just waiting at the door.
Yeah,
That's a great cover.
Yeah, wonderful.
great cover. All right, so we've got our 6.
That's great.
We need to pick our final. I think Lawrence's is. This is not the first time I've been asked to speak.
We might because they're so good. I mean, aren't we more likely to disagree on the winner? Because I feel very strongly about the dinner one. I feel very strongly about it, but I can see
You're lucky you're in England,
equally
Joel.
strongly about the pooch one.
No, this is this is not the first time I've been asked to speak.
It was on our list. I will say I did.
It's ridiculous. It's a perfect kind. I mean, all of these are good, but it has that sudden stop. You know what I mean? And which it does it. So
Yeah, it would be one of my top 2. My other top 2 would be the screen.
Now, the next time we do this, we should have a very complicated point system. Each thing. No, I see because I'm looking at the aesthetics of a cartoon that is completely precise and perfectly and a perfect kind of form. And when you reach that, even if the other one is funnier in some way, I would give that extra credit. We've said that before.
Bob, you're my Jack Lemmon. I went in ready to fight for dinner.
Don't leave me, Jason. I was banking on you.
Hey, okay. This is wait a second here. It's my company.
Fair point. You win.
So you get 100 points.
I'm trying. There's a decision here. No, we got to go with that.
So if we
I agree. I'm convinced.
But clearly that it's just such a perfect caption. Now it's maybe my, look, all of this is partly the kinds of things that you value, and taste, and the things you give points for. I just.
I guess
I just emailed Robert Layton about a cartoon he had in the New Yorker. It was a captionless cartoon in which it had kids, burying their dad. And right over there are a bunch of mafia guys stomping on a guy. And I emailed him, that's a perfect captionless cartoon. Mm-hmm. Everything about it is just perfect. So when you reach this kind of thing, I'm just saying that was.
All right, I think we are in agreement here, or at least. You know what? I will say this one works better.
I think we all. There's a great New Yorker cartoon from the 40s, the early 40s, the war, where it's Hitler in front of the Reichstag, and he's saying, I think I can say without fear of contradiction.
Yeah.
Well, and then also there was a caption contest featuring one of Bob's cartoons, where a board meeting, and there are 7 people, 4 women, 3 men.
Yeah.
The women are raising their hands, the men are not, and the woman at the head of the table is saying, "Well, then it's unanimous."
Yeah,
and
Bob's one is absolutely.
And I think we could say this is unanimous except for Joel and Jason.
No, I'm a convert.
All right, unanimous.
It was one of my top two. I want to just give a shout out to the one that made me laugh and roll my eyes, which is the Silence the Squeaky Toys. But that was just. But it's it's not just about the loudest laugh when you're by yourself looking at these.
Yeah, not really. I mean, that wouldn't be the case.
No, that wouldn't be the case for a lot of
for the maybe the greatest cartoon you think you've done or whatever. It wouldn't necessarily.
No, and I agree. I just think that's important to to give a special point.
Yeah. So let's see. So what now? What do? We find out what Jason's is, and we look at the voting.
Oh yeah, Jason, tell us yours.
I'm trying to call the dog over too. Mine was it was. Let me begin with the Oxford Dictionary's definition of wolf. So it was quite close to one of our.
Well, so in a way, it's the same thing.
Yes.
And I do think it's very smart. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Because it is the way these people drone on.
Yeah.
At a commencement thing, and they make a lot out of, really nothing.
There is the high-low thing, right? About
the high-low thing. Definitely.
A fancy dog.
But I think that's a good, one of the things we've discussed is that's a good caption or a good cartoon. And that often when a cartoon appears in the magazine, it's what Joe Dater is. You just sort of put a button on it or you finish it off or whatever. But what the caption contest reveals is that whole other world. And this, I think, is one of the things I know when I was, cartoon editor, I said to you and other people, there's always a million ideas around that thing that you've drawn. And that's why you always should come back to it and look at it, because your vision is always very narrow once you get the caption. And you can't even see, all the rest of it. And I think that's one of the things the caption contest reveals. Okay, well, that's the commencement dog.
Yeah.
Very much.
He does not want to be judging it right now.
No, I can see that. So,
do you have an opinion? No, his opinion is to leave.
So let's look at the voting.
Yeah, let's look at the voting.
Let's see how wrong the people is who actually generated these great captions.
I think you will be surprised.
They don't even know what they're doing.
Is there ever like a write-in candidate situation where?
No, I think normally we are not aligned. Although I think they are turning. We are either influencing each other or they're influencing us, because the number one vote was, "This is not the first time I have been asked to speak."
Oh, hey, very good.
By Mark Schaefer. Congratulations, Mark.
Hey, Mark, you did it. You wrote a better caption on my cartoon than me.
And I'll quickly read the top 10. I don't share them because we can see their names and some people feel shy. Before we begin tonight's program, let me point out that there are fire hydrants on both the north and south sides of the building.
It's a good one.
Not bad.
Yeah. Please hold your tail wagging until the end.
Mm-hmm.
These were the best 28 years of my life.
Okay.
Never stop chasing your dreams and tales. Go put your mark on the world.
Mm-hmm.
Please silence your squeaky toys. When I call your name, please fetch your diploma. And lastly, please refrain from wagging your tail until everyone has received their diploma. So that rounds out the public's opinion. I think we agree with several.
Yeah, my faith in democracy has been restored for sure.
So now I want to tell my Jewish joke and show you the AI image. All right. I hope I remember because it's a complicated joke.
Should we keep this part of our presentation here, Bob, or should we sign out?
No, definitely should be part of the presentation. Okay. So you can see that, right? It's the Jewish parrot, right? Okay.
Yeah, he's got a nice kippah on.
Yeah. Okay, so there it is, and that's courtesy of Midjourney. And so anyway, Meyer is a lonely widower. He's walking by a pet store, and this parrot squawks to him in Yiddish. Speaks to her in Yiddish, and Meyer's from the old country. He speaks Yiddish. His wife has died. They used to speak Yiddish together, a companion. Anyway, he goes into the pet store, and the guy says, "Yeah, he speaks Yiddish. He can speak actually Hebrew also." And Mike says, "That's it." He pays $500, takes the parrot home. They talk all night. They talk in Yiddish, and they share some walnuts, and they're really getting along well. And then Meyer is ready to go to shul because it's Rosh Hashanah, and the parrot wants to go with him. Say, well, you can't go with you. The prayers you have to learn and everything. Parrot is a very fast learner, learns the Hebrew, speaks Yiddish. They go to the shul, to the synagogue. Everybody says, what, we're bringing a parrot here, a parrot to the high holidays, to Rosh Hashanah? That's ridiculous. You can't do this. This parrot is going to be able to daven, is going to be able to pray. You're going to be amazed. And, it's a synagogue, and people say, are you kidding? You want to put down some money on this? Wager, huge amounts of money, wages, thousands of dollars are wagered on it. Anyway, come the prayers. Meyer says to the parrot, watch, you're going to daven, he's going to pray, nothing. The prayer comes again, nothing. So they leave. He's lost. And as they leave, as they're walking down the street, the parrot starts singing in Yiddish again. And Meyer said, what? I asked you to pray. I paid all this money. Why didn't you do it? The parrot says, Schmuck, think of the odds we're going to get on Yom Kippur. Okay, that is a great joke.
I agree.
Great joke. I'm going to tell my family.
Actually, it's much longer, much more shaggy dog because it's got a lot more Jewish things in it as it goes on and on. But the payoff is just so great that anyway. So I wrote that up for Moment Magazine, and then I had ChatGPT, actually GPT-4, explain why it's funny, which is interesting also. But in my next episode, I'm going to see if it can create a Jewish joke, and which would be a heavy lift, because when you think about jokes like that, no one has actually created them. They have no author. They're these polished stones that have come down from sometimes they're part of a longer fable that's compressed and made into a punchline, and other times they're a quip that's extended. But they keep getting, if you look up the Jewish parrot joke, you'll see there are various kinds of that. Anyway, I thought it's worth our audience. Okay. All right, I think we can maybe end on that.
All right. Well, congratulations again, Mark. Thank you, Jason, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
When this comes out, you'll see next week's already, but it's a good Pat Burns one. And look forward to chatting with you guys in a month. Good luck to everybody. And
Jason, let's